All right, hello wine drinking people. We are back with more of what I drank yesterday, and a very prolific week I've had here at the Wine Watch, and just trying to get caught up on all of our reviews. And Carol Kemp, the winemaker for Red Car, we've known for quite some time with Mark Estrin, the late Mark Estrin. Actually, Mark called me up one day here at the store 10 some odd years ago and was looking for a distributor. And at that time, they were getting great press from Parker. He really loved the wines, and one of my good friends invested in the winery, a good customer. So I had a chance to taste the wines, not to my liking. I was not a big fan of these 16% alcohol, really highly extracted wines. But with the Parker scores, the limited production, and the really cool packaging that these guys came up with, I said, these wines are definitely going to become a hot item. So we hooked them up with Jimmy Mansbach, and they became part of Jimmy's Gems. I'm happy to say that these guys have changed their style. I don't know that it's because Mark passed away, but they've got a really talented group of people here working. Paul Sequeira, which has been by to see me several times, the director of marketing and viticulture, a very interesting guy, and Ulises Valdez, the vineyard manager, one of the most talented vineyard managers in all of California. And that's what it takes to make great wine, the fruit. And they've moved their fruit source from Central California to the North Coast. They still have some great packaging, though. One of the things that helps to sell wine is pretty bottles. And we don't care about pretty bottles here at the Wine Watch. We care about what's in them pretty bottles. But you know what? It's nice to have great juice in pretty bottles. All right, well, a Chardonnay from Sonoma Coast, the 2009 vintage, had this lovely fresh apple and candied lemon citrus fruit on the nose, a touch of fresh buttered toast as well. A nicely balanced Chardonnay with fresh fruit and a texture of skim milk, and a nice touch of toasty oak spice. Really nice fresh acidity and a balanced style of Chardonnay. Really good bottle of wine. Next up, the 2008s, and this wine seemed to be a little bit heavier, kind of a nutty component to the bouquet. Ripe tropical fruit, apples and pears. Nice amount of that ripe tropical fruit on the palate, and a good hand of oak spice, and maybe a little bit over the top for me, and maybe a little bit on the downside already, this 2008 Chardonnay Sonoma Coast, but still good at 18 bucks. All right, the 2009 Boxcar Pinot Noir Sonoma Coast. This wine has been a runaway hit, and we've been selling a lot of the Boxcar, $31.50. It's got a lovely black raspberry and cherry fruit on the nose, hints of spice, kind of light floral nuance, and lovely sweet black raspberry fruit on the tongue, but with a nice savory edge. These wines are lower alcohol wines. They're not low alcohol wines. They're California. You still have to be in the 14, high 13s to make a balanced wine in California, but some really lovely, pretty floral nuance to the finish. A very good bottle of Pinot. All right, the Syrah Sonoma Coast Boxcar. Nice fresh black earth and a slight animal nuance to the black raspberry fruit on the nose. A nice amount of that black raspberry and black plum fruit on the palate. The firm underbelly of acidity, a nice savoriness to all these wines, leaving the tongue salivating for food. Very good juice at 19 1/4, much better value. Hard to sell Syrah for some reason. All right, Red Car Pinot Noir from the Sonoma Coast. Really classic vintage, this 2009, turning out to be much better for most people in Sonoma than 2008. Well, they did have some fires in 2008, but mostly Mendocino people were affected by that. But this 2009, really a cooler vintage, really nice for Chardonnay and for Pinot. A lovely spice and floral nuance to the bouquet here. Black raspberry, black cherry fruit on the nose. A little note of kind of green tea, some exotic spice there as well. And actually, alcohol is only 13.7 in this wine. A nice savoriness to the finish, therefore. And a nice raspberry and cherry fruit here. And good structure and depth, though. And still a bit young. This wine needs a little bit of time to come out of its shell here. Red Car Pinot Noir, the Aphorist, Bartolomei Vineyard, and this is the dizzying label you have here, a Rod Sterling production. And this wine, kind of a rustic style of Pinot with a good amount of fresh earth and spice on the nose, dried flowers, black raspberry, and kind of a rhubarb kind of note to the fruit. A really fresh style of Pinot Noir with a good amount of spice and floral nuance coming through on the finish, and a nice zest. Excellent juice at $62 a bottle. All right, the 2009 Bohemian Station, Sonoma Coast. The ripest style of Pinot Noir made here with a nice amount of freshness still to the wine, though. Raspberry and strawberry fruits and fresh flowers and exotic spice there showing on the nose. A really fresh and savory wine on the palate. This is the ripest wine they make here. Okay, but a nice hand of spice and really good structure here as well. This was my favorite Pinot Noir in the grouping. Most excellent juice. All right, the Syrah Red Car. This is Zeotoni and Bennett Valley fruits. Really nice dark spice component there. Good amount of dark cherry liqueur fruit on the nose. Notes of black pepper spice, fresh earth, and big and chewy wine on the palates. But you know what I'm going to say next. Still a nice savoriness on the finish. Nice spice, dark cocoa notes. Most excellent juice. And then the Fight. Probably the most successful wine these guys have done. You know, very popular with professional fighters, believe it or not. And this is the last wine made from Central Coast fruit, Bien Nacido Block Z and Letitia. And these southwest limestone soils, you really notice the minerality in this wine, even though it is big and voluptuous, man. Lovely black cherry liqueur-like fruit, dark cocoa, licorice. And as I mentioned before, still a good amount of minerality showing, even though this wine is big, plump, and juicy on the palate here as well. Lovely depth of flavors and a bit of dryness coming in at the end, but still excellent juice nonetheless at 53.75. All right, coming up next, a few things from Petite Toute Vin.